Good evening, folks. This is Deb and Dave, and it is finally back. The Factivist Report is back. So tonight, we are going to start talking about 2024 and the election. And it's not just the presidential election, although that is a very big part of this. So we're going to give you the broad picture tonight. And then as we move on week to week, we're going to get specific about candidates, races, opportunities, and at all levels, not just at the federal level.
Right.
So I'm going to turn this over to Dave.
So we're going to play a little game. This is an article from the Washington Post, and I'm going to read a quote. I'm going to put it up. I'm going to screen share it. I'm going to put up a quote or a couple of paragraphs. I'm going to ask you guys, when was this from? Okay. So let's start here. Oh, you got to enable screen sharing.
Falling down on the freaking job. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, there you go. All done.
Impeach her. All right, hold on.
Removal from office. That's it. It's over. Fire me. I'm done.
So where am I?
See, it's not just me.
So this is an article saying, let's just say it, the Republicans are the problem. Don't look at the top, because it actually says the date. The GOP has become an insurgent outlier in American politics. It is ideologically extreme, scornful of compromise, unmoved by conventional understanding of facts, evidence, and science, and dismissive of the legitimacy of its political opposition. When one party moves this far from the mainstream, it makes it nearly impossible for the political system to deal constructively with the country's challenges. Both sides do it, or there's plenty of blame to go around, are the traditional refuges for an American news media intent on proving its lack of bias, while political scientists prefer generality and neutrality when discussing partisan polarization. Many self-styled bipartisan groups, in their search for common ground, propose solutions that move both sides to the center, a strategy that is simply untenable when one side is so far out of reach. They're talking about the Republican Party. So if you haven't looked at the link yet, guess what year this is? Okay, that's enough. So this is an article by Thomas Mann and Norman Ornstein from the Washington Post in 2012. So the Republicans have been considered radical. This is pretty much right after the Tea Party really began their insurgence.
Right after Obama got elected to a second term.
Exactly. And this is talking about how Republicans use wild accusations. They were talking about 85% of the Democrats or something, 78 to 81% of Democrats in Congress are members of the Communist Party.
Unbelievable.
Now, that is tame compared to where we are now.
It is.
Just so you know.
They are so far off the edge now. This was before the insurrection, and the very Tea Party that we're talking about here has now morphed into the MAGA movement, because it is the Tea Party Foundation that is funding a lot of the MAGA movement.
So now there is let me move these over. There's a couple of articles here. One from the Boston University today. There's a college professor. There are different arguments as to how close we are to fascism. And the simple fact that we have to talk about this is scary as hell.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
should be
I want you to
frightening to people.
understand this. This is where we are. This is scary shit. This is scary. Okay. So this university professor says that no, we're not fascist, not yet, but it's still very dangerous where we are, which basically means that we could very well become a fascist nation in another year after this election, especially if Trump gets elected.
I'm going to just say this. I don't think any of this should be downplayed.
No,
Honestly, I actually don't see how anybody can expect Donald Trump to leave power if he takes it in 2024. He's already said he's going to be a dictator for one day. You know what? Dictators aren't dictators for one day. They're dictators for all days. They tell you they're going to be a dictator for one day, like they're trying to help you, right? Because he wants to build a wall, okay? That's what he wants to do. He wants to build a wall and he wants to drill, drill, drill. What is that telling you? Any guy who says he wants to be a dictator just his first day in office, he's blowing smoke up your ass. Wake up.
now, this is probably the most important part of this whole thing. This university professor says it's extremely dangerous where we are, pointing out the Republican National Committee declaring January 6th, 2021, the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, legitimate political discourse. So the beating and killing of police officers at the Capitol building is legitimate political discourse, according to the RNC, not just Trump, the RNC.
Right. But I just have to say this. Let's look realistically. If this had been a group of people from the left, what if it had been Black Lives Matter that thought it was legitimate political discourse to break into the Capitol so that their voices could be heard? Or Antifa. I am absolutely positive that they would have been gunned down. I'm actually absolutely positive they would have been stopped dead in their tracks. There is no question about it. Knowing the stuff that comes out of the mouths of the Republicans, discrediting Black Lives Matter, blaming them for everything, blaming Antifa for all the violence when it wasn't them, there's no question in my mind. What if it had been the other side that did what they did on January 6, 2021? It wouldn't have been legitimate political discourse then. I can promise you that.
Couple other things here. He said you need to continue to call out their BS. You need to continue to call out any calls for violence. And also, when asked, is there any fascist analog on the American left? No. No, there isn't. There is no equivalent on the left. Now, historically, have there been people on the left that were violent?
Yes.
Yeah, but not to this level.
Not to this level, okay? Not to the point where it's being encouraged by people in Congress, okay? Back in the 60s and in the early 70s, we had the Students for a Democratic Society. We had the Weather Underground. We had the Black Panthers. There was violence. There is no question about it, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat any of that. It did no good for the left. It didn't help the left at all. And it didn't last for very long. And it was condemned by the Democratic Party, okay? It was not embellished. It was not called legitimate political discourse. It was called domestic terrorism by the Democratic Party. And I know because I was following it, and it wasn't embraced. The Republican Party, on the other hand, is okay with all of this. They have remained silent through all of this. They are unwilling to admit that this is going on. They're unwilling to push back at Donald Trump, and they are encouraging their followers to be violent. It's as simple as that. Nobody in the media wants to say that because they want to have fair and balanced reporting. That's another blight on American democracy, quite frankly, because the role of the media is to call this shit out, not to sugarcoat it.
Right. Which we will get to in a minute. So, is there any fascist analog on the American left? That's one of the rhetorical questions that's easily disposed of. There is no such thing as fascism on the American left. As a matter of fact, the American left has an issue with not putting their foot down enough.
Right.
Okay. Uh, we want to negotiate everything, and that's a problem when it comes to the right wing trying to take civil rights away from people.
Yep. There is no
So
discussion, okay?
there is no
Acceptable level
negotiating.
of oppression. There is no
Right.
acceptable level of oppression in
There
America.
might be violence on the American left, although it's far less than there is on the right. It's a tactical move on the right to deny its own responsibility.
And by the way, anytime somebody tells you that this is the identical thing that goes on in the left, you ask them, as I have, show me.
Right.
Show me, send me whatever you've got. I never get any mail. I never get any emails because there isn't any to get.
Are we gonna talk about Portland? Really? Is that where we're going? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And you can't convince me that that wasn't somehow orchestrated by right wingers either,
Well,
by the
we
way.
do know to some degree that it indeed was, because we had people out there that were part of our group that were saying they were on the left,
But they
and
weren't.
we know that they weren't. And that is why we disbanded at that time.
Right. Whatever you call today's violent, racist, anti-democratic forces in the United States, are there lessons history offers for thwarting them? Do not compromise. Call them out. You call the conspiracy theories out and you debunk them. It's very difficult because these people have it ingrained in their head not to believe you. All right. And I'll get into it. Jennifer Rubin calls Trump literally a cult leader and calls MAGA a cult and goes into the psychology of it.
This is
Cannot
important
make
right here. Yeah, that's important. Go ahead.
can't make alliances with the right like this because the ideas that they have are corrosive. They will swallow you whole. You cannot make idiotic statements like violence is part of democratic discourse. That's the most important thing.
Right. It is not part of democratic discourse. It
And
is
by
not.
the way, Deb brought this up where Governor Abbott, allowed migrant children to drown. He prevented uh, people from saving them.
Right. There were apparently federal agents that knew that these people were trying to cross the Rio Grande and were in distress. I believe there were adults, but I believe there were adults and children. When the feds moved in to try to gain access to that area so they could send them help, the Texas National Guard blocked them because Governor Abbott has called out the Texas National Guard and put them in control of all of this. So they were just left there to drown. I consider that
Violence,
an act of fucking homicide. I consider that negligent homicide.
negligent homicide.
In my
Yep.
opinion, Governor Abbott is right now a candidate to be removed from office. That is unconscionable and indefensible on every possible level. Okay? That is not what this country is all about. I don't care what they are telling you, but that is not what this country is all about.
This is something from Robert Reich. Basically, yeah, I'll do that later, Guardian. So this is from a little while ago. This is about 8 months old. When he was talking about the
It's only
Tennessee
gotten worse
Three.
since then. So
Yeah, but he was talking about the Tennessee Three, kicking people out of government for no reason, all of that stuff. So yeah, he agrees that we're right on the path towards full-fledged, full-blown fascism. And who's the leader of this movement? Trump. And Jennifer Rubin called it out. This is
She's
what's
right.
today? Today, I think. What's today?
Today's the 14th. So this was,
Okay, so this is 2 days ago. The media's worst lapse, and I agree with this totally.
me too.
Refusing to identify Donald Trump as a cult leader.
By the way,
Donald,
Jennifer Rubin is a former Republican, just so you
yeah,
understand who she is.
Donald Trump is now anyone who supports him. It's MAGA. You know, these guys are MAGA. They're not MAGA. Blah blah blah. The most important thing from this article, I think, is when she talks about the uh, the psychology of um, of being in a cult. So I'll read a couple of paragraphs from this. Even as Trump shows his authoritarian colors and his rants become angrier, more unhinged, and more incoherent, his followers still meekly accept inane assertions like the rioters from January 6th were hostages, magnets dissolve in water, you can drink bleach to get rid of COVID, wind turbines drive whales insane. I didn't hear that one. So more of the media should be covering this phenomenon as it would any right-wing authoritarian movement in any other foreign country.
It's true.
Okay. So though polls continue to show Trump's iron grip on his followers, and by the way, some polls are saying that Trump is ahead of Biden, which, look, he can't be. We can't allow this to happen. You have to keep this man out, period. End of story, or it's over. It's
But let
done.
me just say something about the polls. I don't know who they're polling. I don't know where they're polling.
Right.
They don't exactly tell you who they're polling and where they're polling. And all polls right now are suspect. But I will tell
Yep.
you this. There are studies out there. You voted 55% and the Republicans can win. You voted 60%, the Democrats can win in a landslide. You voted 70%, you put the GOP out of business. Right now, the GOP needs to be put out of business because this is not the party that's going to be saved and put back to where it was 15, 20 years ago. It is not. They're done. They're MAGA. The last debate was between Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. They don't have a prayer in the world of dethroning Donald Trump. The party is dead now. It is now fully on Donald Trump's party, and they have allowed themselves to be taken over by Donald Trump.
And by the way, I do have an article in here. Vivek Ramaswamy is continuing to pledge his allegiance to Trump over and over and over again. And Trump's campaign is saying that he's a pretender and a fraud because Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign slogan is a vote for Vivek is a vote to save Trump. Trump's campaign manager basically said Trump doesn't need saving. Trump is the savior.
There you go.
That's a cult leader.
That's a fucking
That's
nut.
a,
Okay.
that's a nut. So
If he's
polls
the savior, guess what? Somebody up there had it in for us from the
right.
very beginning. I'm just saying.
Polls continue to show Trump's iron grip. Mainstream outlets spend far too little attention on why and how MAGA members cling to demonstrably false beliefs, excuse what should be inexcusable conduct, and treat him as infallible. The main question is why? And she goes into it. This is a cult leader expert, Stephen Hassan, explained. The MAGA movement checks all the boxes of the BITE model of cult mind control, which is behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. Like all cult leaders, Trump restricts the information of his followers are allowed to accept, demands purity of belief, beliefs that can change from moment to moment for his whims and needs, by the way, and appeals to his followers through the conjuring of primal emotions, not just fear, but joy and anger, all of that. Another expert, Daniela Young, explained the first rule of cults is you're never in a cult. Okay. Basically, the first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. You're not in a cult. Second rule of the cult will forgive any sin except for the sin of leaving the group. The third rule of the cult is even if the cult leader did it, it doesn't mean he's guilty. And you're hearing it. You're hearing Trump's lawyers say that because he's president or he was president, Trump could kill his political rivals and not be convicted.
They were arguing this in court. They were arguing this in court. Okay? Does this sound like rational behavior to you?
A message from a mentally sound, serious leader, yes, President Biden, cannot be equated with the message of an authoritarian who seeks absolute power through a web of disinformation and, if need be, violence. Okay.
Right. And that is a joke of a headline. I'm seeing all those headlines everywhere. Like this is just another election clashing over January 6th. Trump and Biden show reality is at stake in 2024. That's bullshit. That kind of writing, that's not journalism. Okay? Softballing a fucking fascist isn't the way we're supposed to call this stuff out.
This is the article about Ramaswamy. Basically, Ramaswamy has a campaign slogan and a campaign. It's a strategy. He's not going to be the nominee, but this is just further evidence that Trump demands full allegiance. I'm the leader. You don't get to save me. I get to save you. That's it. Follow or get out of the way. It's not lead, follow or get out of the way. Follow or get out of the way.
Right. Remain. And by the way, he demands full allegiance, total. He is literally right now, prior to the election, vetting people for his administration that will be 100% behind him at all times, will never disagree with him. That's what fascists and dictators actually do.
I just thought this was interesting.
Jesus Christ.
Sammy the Bull. Yeah, he's a good he never took our bait. Sammy the Bull. I mean, Trump touts ex-mobster Sammy the Bull as moral character witness, a man who said, if I was told to kill somebody, I would do it. Okay? Sammy the Bull is a murderer. And he's someone that Trump chooses as a character witness.
Just like Trump likes Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, Viktor Orban, Jair Bolsonaro, all strongmen, all scum, all criminals, because Donald Trump is a mob boss.
And what did Sammy the Bull do? He killed what he actually no, he rolled over rather John Gotti.
Right. He has publicly admitted to being involved in 19 homicides, by the way. Sammy the Bull.
I disagree with this grade, but a law professor grades the legal argument Trump's lawyer just made about presidential immunity, C or a D. I don't know how you get a C out of this. I don't know how you pass.
You don't. There is no such thing as presidential immunity. Not on this.
No. So Trump's lawyer argued that he had absolute immunity and couldn't be criminally prosecuted for the actions he took in office. Now, this is something that Nixon told Frost in that infamous interview, it's not illegal when you're
If I do it,
president.
right.
If I do it because I'm president.
But let me just point out one thing. I read an article similar, okay,
Yeah.
where Trump said that he was discharging his duties because he was looking for election fraud and finding it, okay? It was pointed out by experts that it is not Donald Trump's job to find election fraud. There are people in place in government whose job that is, but it is
Right.
not the president of the United States who was just involved in the election to look for election fraud. That is not the role of him. So if that's not his role, so if that's what he's arguing, gave him immunity, that's not gonna fly. I don't believe the immunity argument is gonna fly at all, to be honest with you. And if it does,
Uh,
don't worry about it because
so the three judges on the Washington D.C. appeals court panel expressed skepticism with the defense, with Judge Florence Pan offering up a hypothetical situation, including could a president order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival and not be criminally prosecuted? Trump's lawyer, D. John Sauer, rather, said the president could only be prosecuted if he was first impeached by the House of Representatives and then convicted by the Senate.
that's absolutely not
Uh,
true.
no, it's not true. Meaning that as long as enough members of Congress supported the president, he cannot be prosecuted. This makes him a king.
Right. And basically, they're making the statement because they know that none of the Republicans in office right now are going to speak against Trump because they haven't yet. They're a bunch of pussies. They're cowards. And the
So,
ones who aren't cowards, they're the ones that want the same kind of power that Trump is offering. That's exactly why they're there.
so by the way, this argument debunking the claim was brought up, and it's a constitutional argument. It was said that not only did the Constitution not say that, but it said the exact opposite. This was pointed out in Article 1, Section 3 of the Constitution. Judgments in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal of office and disqualifications to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, punishment according to the law. No one is above the law, including the United States president.
And it should be especially not the US president, actually.
And not presidents, not governors, like we mentioned. Abbott should be held responsible for that. I don't care if those people were trying to cross the border from Mexico to the United States.
You do everything in your power to save them, and then you can put them back. If you don't want to accept them, you put them back safely somewhere where they have a chance to live. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Texas is denying the allegations, but they always deny the allegations. We'll have to see how this plays out.
They also fought to keep buoys with saw blades
Right.
in the river.
And I believe a lot of that is still winding its way through court. I know the DOJ sued them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I don't know if it's going to go to the Supreme Court, but it's moving in that direction.
yeah.
So, with all of what has just been being said, I was trying to figure out how to present the argument that the Republican Party is rotten to the core, from the President of the United States all the way down to Republican dog catcher or mayors or whatever. And I was like, how am I going to do this? Am I going to have articles with Republican, the president, then House of Representatives, then Senate, then governor? No, you don't have to do that. Here we go. The Republican National Committee, okay? Their resolutions, there's all sorts of stuff. Now, back in the day, there's not from here, from 2020 on, it's insanity. But even when you go back to 2016, 2016 is so much different than 2020. There are your typical, Republican back in the day that you could actually maybe talk to. It's always been tough on crime, taxes, the tax argument, immigration. Those are the three that they always talk about. But here, this is what they're talking about. There's a couple of things about honoring different people, but resolution in support of an emergency declaration for the southern border, resolution to protect children from unsafe sex trait modification and experimentation, resolution to put the vital national interest of the U.S. first in dealing with communist China. By the
Unless, of
way,
course, unless, of course, he's getting money from communist
right,
China, then he's got
exactly,
no problem with that. While he's president, I might add.
exactly.
Dickhead.
Uh, resolution urging a return to excellence in American voting and elections.
And they're the perfect people to just take us there, aren't they? The very party that tried to stop the peaceful transfer of power. Let's make their declaration. All of this shit sounds good until you realize who's actually writing it.
Right. Urging the U.S. Congress to prohibit foreign ownership of land close to military bases. Now, how are you going to do that when the military base is in foreign land? Couple things adopted during the 2023 winter meetings. Resolution to hold President Biden accountable for the border crisis. Don't mention anything that happened during the Bush administration or the Trump administration. This is a continuous process, by the way. Resolution to officially oppose ranked choice voting across the country.
Might be the end of the Republican Party, so I can see why they want to stop that.
Uh, you honor Congressman Don Young, who was that the guy from Alaska? I think he was.
I was.
Yeah. Resolution to oppose all forms of anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic statements, and anti-Semitic elements that seek to infiltrate the Republican Party. So to me, that's like full-fledged allegiance to Israel sounds like. Um, another resolution honoring a life of someone, resolution affirming the Republican National Committee's commitment to life, which is anti-choice,
Roe v. Wade.
Roe v. Wade, resolution urging the United States to shut down any type of Chinese police state in the United States.
Well, that would be the Republican Party, wouldn't it?
And resolution encouraging the ban of TikTok on federal devices and discouraging the use of TikTok on private devices. Why? Well, just look at us on TikTok. We're not the only ones, but TikTok is exploding with people criticizing the Republican Party. Couple of things. Thought this is the platform, the resolution, the Republican Party platform. And this is after 2020. Whereas the Republican National Committee has significantly scaled back the size and scope of the 2020 Republican National Convention due to strict restrictions on gatherings and meetings, blah, blah, blah.
Even though we don't believe COVID is real. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The RNC has unanimously voted to forego the convention committee on platform in appreciation of the fact that they did not want a small contingent of delegates formulating a new platform without the breadth of perspectives within the ever-growing Republican movement, which means no one disagree with Trump. This is Trump's show.
Right.
Whereas all platforms are snapshots of the historical context in which they are born, unless we say that the history doesn't exist. and parties abide by their policy priorities rather than their political rhetoric. Whereas the RNC, had the platform committee been able to convene in 2020, would have undoubtedly unanimously agreed to reassert the party's strong support for Trump and his administration.
Of course.
Whereas the media has outrageously misrepresented the implications of the RNC not adopting a new platform in 2020 and continues to engage in misleading advocacy for the failed policies of the Obama and Biden administrations rather than providing the public with unbiased reporting of fact, etc., etc. Resolved that the Republican Party has and will continue to enthusiastically support President Trump's America First agenda. By the way,
In other words, we're in a cult. Have a nice day.
America nationalism, which means the United States. American exceptionalism, which means Trump can do whatever the hell he wants to. Americans can do whatever the hell they want to, and the rules don't apply to them. You hear exceptionalism, that's where they're going with this.
Right.
All right. So let me see. Is there more? Yeah, pretty much.
Well, yes,
Any motion to amend the 2016 platform or to adopt a new platform, including any motion to suspend the procedures that will allow doing so, will be ruled out of order.
of course it will. We're out of order.
The rules of the Republican Party. I'm not going to go through all this. This is a bunch of like parliamentary procedure crap. I do want to show you the preamble, though. Hold on. Deb, get your shovel out.
Can hardly wait.
All right, hold on. I want to preamble. Yeah, there you go. I got to read this out loud. Be it resolved, the Republican Party is the party of the open door.
Really?
Ours is the party of liberty, unless you're gay or black or a woman, of opportunity for all and favoritism for none.
You forgot the party of equality. See, it's so antithetical to everything that they stand for that you couldn't even read it. The party of equality? Really? For what? What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't even. I mean, come on. On its
Wait,
face.
hold on. Let's get through it.
I don't know.
All right, guys, let's get through it. It is the intent and purpose of these rules to encourage and allow the broadest possible participation of all voters only in the Republican Party activities in all levels and to assure that the Republican Party is open and accessible to all Americans.
Fuck, I would rather I would rather jump into a fucking burning river. I would. I really would.
Don't go to Texas.
No. No. Light up the Cuyahoga. I'll take a jump.
Be it further resolved that the following and hereby are adopted as the rules of the Republican Party, composed of the rules for the election and government of the Republican National Committee until the next national convention.
God.
Okay, the rules shall under which delegates and alternate delegates shall be allotted to the respective states in the next national convention, and the rules under which such delegates and alternate delegates shall be elected and under which contests shall be considered, and the rules of business of this national convention.
So where do they determine how they install the fake electors? Do they have a section in there on how to handle fake electors?
Oh, this shit's like hundreds of pages long, so it's like 167 pages long, I think.
Did they put a fake elector section in there anywhere, or are they trying to keep that under the, on the down low?
We can go through.
No, let's not. No, I'm just kidding. Really. People want to read that drivel, go right ahead.
States it right in their literature. Donald Trump owns the Republican Party.
He does.
And all decisions roll through him. Okay.
And woe to the person who would ever misconstrue or, stand against him.
You see, even Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, all of these people are being dismissed and discarded and whatever. Even though, trust me, they're no prizes either. I'm telling you right now. But right now, the Republican Party
Is a cult.
is a cult owned by Donald Trump. Anyone who tries to elevate themselves, Donald Trump, no, no, I was here first. Vivek Ramaswamy, you see, Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is his own little fascist leader in his own state.
Right.
But know your place, Ron. You can argue with Nikki Haley in your own little debate while I have a town hall with Fox News throwing me softball questions.
Right.
So that is the Republican Party in a nutshell.
And believe me, there is, absolutely no question that he has been saying for some time that none of these people are going to make it. They should just get out of the way now and get behind him. That is what fascists do. Fascists don't want the process to play out. Even if it's going nowhere, they don't want the process to play out. He just wanted to be done with this. He wanted to be crowned the fucking victor without anybody even going through a primary.
And Jennifer Rubin is absolutely correct. The media is
pathetic.
Is falling into a trap, allowing this man to spew his crap.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. So, the New York Times, right?
Yeah.
I'm really disenchanted with the Times right now. They wrote a really stupid article about Taylor Swift, whose music I'm not a fan of. But, this obsession with Taylor Swift is beyond the pale. And I get why the right wing is worried about it. She's registering people at her concerts to the tune of 35,000 people a show. She's out there trying to register people to vote Democrat. So I get that. But the New York Times, when I saw my bill, I forgot to cancel, obviously, for January.
Right.
When I saw the bill went from $4 a month to $17 a month, I called them up on the phone to cancel. I didn't want to take a chance writing an email. They lowered the price back down to $4. So the long and the short is I'm keeping it, but only because I want to keep an eye on what they're writing. I mean, I do occasionally still share their stuff. There are some still good writers there. I feel like the Times is shifting to the right strongly. And if they're not shifting to the right, then they're playing soft on a lot of topics. And that's not what, personally, that's not what I ever equated with the New York Times. That's the way
Rolling Stone, the Daily Beast, Fox, Ultimate, there's a Business Insider, all of those guys. ProPublica, to me, they are the leader in reporting right now.
Yeah, I like ProPublica a lot.
Okay, WAPO is really good, but the ProPublica is doing some really, really good work. The New York Times, Newsweek, there are a few others too. The Hill's another one. The
thing that you have to understand about ProPublica, though, is they're not a newspaper.
Right.
Okay, so they're not running a newspaper. What they are is they investigate, so they can throw all their forces behind an investigation and spend time on that to dig it and ferret it out. They're not looking for deadlines every day. They don't publish something new every day, but they are what we would call a true
investigative team.
Yeah, they dig very deep, and the stuff that they do study, they go very deep into it. It's not just an overview or a surface look at anything.
To me, ProPublica is akin to the Spotlight team.
Yep, I agree.
That's what they are at this point. So now I just want to show the one. To me, it's the one-stop shop for all races, from the presidential race to the local races. This is the best that I've seen so far, which is Ballotpedia. So they of course they're going to cover the Republican uh or the I'm sorry, the presidential race the most. But if you see on the side, you have the 2024 elections. Looking at 2025, first off, don't look at 2025 yet. Let's get through 2024 first.
Right.
Um, the election analysis from the last election, the Biden administration, uh, government, blah 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 blah. If you go into 2024, this is to me the most important. Presidential, the candidates, the congressional elections, special congressional elections, which we're going to talk about briefly, state executive elections, state legislative elections, state judge elections, local elections, and ballot measures. This is the most comprehensive website for everything that I know of.
And by the way, on the right, if you look, courts and judges by county,
Right,
laws permitting non-citizens to vote in the United States. This is like a giant information. It's like a Wikipedia of the election is really what it is.
right,
It's a good place to go because it's just fact. It's not conjecture, although they do give informed opinion on stuff. But it's not the hysteria of polls, which right now I put no stock in any polls. They don't tell you who they're polling, where they're polling them, or any demographics. Usually it's this poll or that poll, and usually polls are paid for by somebody. They don't run them out of the kindness of their heart. So I'm not I'm not following, I don't follow polls, is
right,
basically what I'm saying. I stay away.
right. I I I look at it to see generally, where reporters are going and that kind of thing, but I don't say, ooh, this is a trend or whatever. I don't, you know, polls can be easily manipulated one
Yes.
way or another. So, this is a list of some of the congressional races, special elections that have already happened, and some that are going on. Again, New York's third congressional district, that is happening next month. That is, guys, then if you're in that district, vote for Swazi. Mazi Philip is no,
Mazi
no.
Phillips is supposed to be a Democrat who is being floated by the Republican Party. That should just tell you everything you need to know about who she is. Okay? Real Democrats do not consort with this Republican Party.
So you have California's 20th. That's from McCarthy resigning. That's a special election there. Ohio's sixth congressional district, the California Senate, and the Nebraska Senate. The California Senate is oh, what's her name? Feinstein seat, and then Ben Sass's seat, I believe, in
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Uh, these have already been decided. Utah, a Republican won there, and these two, the Rhode Island first congressional and Virginia fourth congressional, they were won by Democrats. Gabe Amo, and I can't remember the first person who won in that district. Well, I'm trying to remember her name. I think it's Virginia McClellan. I think. Let's see. This is when Donald McKeachin passed away. So, da, da, da. Jennifer McClellan. Okay, Jennifer McClellan. That makes sense. So, uh, we're going to be going into more detail. These are some of the House elections. Okay. Special election wins fuel Democrats' hopes ahead of. First off, every time a Democrat wins, yeah, it's like, oh my God. Or every time they lose, it's kind of like sports with reporters. It's like anytime someone wins or loses, it's like I it, we need every single seat that we can possibly get, but I don't like the way that reporters do this sometimes because it's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
you know,
like
they're gonna win, they're
like
gonna lose.
here's a milk toast headline right here on the left. Rubio throws support behind Trump in 2024 and snub to DeSantis. What difference does it make? What is this? Pick your fascist? Well, why don't you just call this out for what it is?
And here's the headline that Deb was talking about. Texas denies state prevented border protection from rescuing drowned migrants. How about just showing the buoys with giant saw blades in it?
Right.
But here's what I want to get into. I know Gabe Amo won in Rhode Island. I know all that, but here's a list. Let's see if I can. Where is it? There was a list of candidates. Let's see here. Oh, maybe I got the wrong. Ah, crud. I think I got the wrong one. But I'll get the. It's basically you have the McCarthy seat, you have the Ohio seat, you have um the New York third, you have the issue with Boebert moving from the third district to the fourth, where we have an opportunity there, and there's a couple others. So I'll get that. I'll get that article.
Literally, she has like thrown everything off kilter in Colorado. Everybody in the fourth is pissed off at her for moving into that district. She's caused chaos basically for the GOP, which is a good thing in my opinion.
Right. So let's see. This talks about some of the elections that we already won that we went into. But there was one that listed like uh the seven elections coming up. This is again the Working Families Party for all of those who are like progressive candidates only. First off, you can't do that. But if you want to look for progressive candidates in your state and in your area, this is a great little
Right.
website to show what.
It should be noted that this isn't a traditional party. They don't offer up candidates. What they do is
Right.
they throw their support behind candidates, mostly Democrats, to be honest with you.
That follow their platform, which is a progressive platform.
Right.
And this is very, very helpful, especially to New York State. And there are a bunch of candidates in California. They've started in Illinois.
They got Elizabeth Warren in Massachusetts.
They got Elizabeth Warren. And if you notice, they're starting to support the old Justice Democrats like Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman. Just saying.
Alano Ma.
Alano Ma. So what is that? No, I'm not asking to record. Go away. Hold on. I'm gonna try to find that article because it's gonna bother me now. Hold on.
Here we go. One day it's 60, today it's 26. What it's freezing in here right now because I turned the heat down. By the way, while you're looking for that article, let me just say something here.
Yeah.
Uh, you may start to see rumblings from the No Labels Party. The No
Right.
Labels Party is basically just a super PAC for Donald Trump.
Yep.
What all you need to know. Any third party vote is going to be a vote for Donald Trump at this point. All right.
Yep.
You need to understand that. The No Labels Party is not about no labels. All right. It's bullshit. All right. It is not, what they're trying to do is keep the United States right where it is, right in the center of things, right centrist, okay, so that nothing and no progress is made. And you know what? That's not our answer either. All right, that leaves the door open to fascism. So
Right.
the centrists, we don't even know. They're making rumblings out there. People are talking about them. They don't even know who the fucking nominee is yet. So they're going to spring this somebody out there at the very end to basically take votes away. That's really
Right.
all their game is. They are not a legitimate party.
The big news story from them was that Larry Hogan, who was an ex Maryland governor, he
He was on
threw
the
his
board and he
support.
resigned.
Yeah, he threw his support to Nikki Haley. Woo wee. So here it is. It's a Reuters article. 7 House of Representative races to watch. Um, I want to show this real quick because again, a lot of these races, the dates are coming up pretty soon, especially the New York one, which is in February. So hold on. Where am I? Go back to screen share. So here you go. Number one, George Santos's old seat. Democrat Tom Suozzi. And by the way, they even call her Republican
Right.
Matsi Melissa Phillip. Good.
So she must have switched parties because she was a Democrat.
Yep.
She must have switched already. So there you go.
All right. So this is Bill Johnson who left in Ohio. Okay. This is a heavily Republican district, but so, you still have to run somebody in the Democratic Party.
Yes, you do.
Kevin McCarthy's successor. Now, this is a different race because my understanding is it's kind of like ranked choice voting, right? Where you can have the two top could be both Republican or both Democrat
Well,
or
one of each.
one of each. So
So in other words, it's an open primary.
yeah,
So the top two vote getters will be the final. Okay. Regardless
seat
of
is now this is Reuters saying the seat is unlikely to switch to Democratic control. The Democrats have a say in that, by the way.
right. Get out and vote.
McCarthy's departure has set up a crowded Republican primary on March 5th to succeed him, which is uh, a potentially good thing because they could split the vote. Um, Former Speaker endorsing Vince Fong, a former aide to McCarthy and current state assembly member. California state election officials initially said Fong was ineligible to run for the seat, but a state court ruled in December that he could run. So I don't know what that's about.
And of course, they didn't tell you.
Yeah, but okay. We're gonna do more on these as we go along.
This one's important. Alabama.
Alabama. This is a redistricted uh, district. Federal court ordered Alabama to implement a congressional map that created a second largely black district. The decision is expected to give Democrats a rare opportunity to gain a seat in Alabama, which is huge, actually. At least 18 candidates have filed to run for the seat. It'll play out. We're not going to go over 18 candidates. We'll wait until it thins out somewhat. And we'll see, legal battles over redistricting could play a role in congressional maps for as many as 10 states and potentially tip control of the House. And these redistricting fights are leaning towards the Democrats from what I'm saying.
By the way, redistricting fights or not, we need to take the House. We had the House before all this. We didn't have to lose the House in 2022. We damn well better be prepared to come out and vote.
So this is Deb's favorite word coming up. Lauren Boebert's swap into the district. She's not a firebrand.
Not a firebrand. She's a fascist. They get the right first letter, but they fall apart with the rest of the word. She is not a firebrand. She's a fascist. Okay.
Firebrand. By the way, here's how you can firebrand conservative, right? That means she's her own person, that she doesn't follow anyone else.
She's
Anyone who's a GOP, she's a Trump follower. Okay. She's not a firebrand. She doesn't think for herself.
She's a fascist.
She doesn't speak for herself. By the way, the GOP in Colorado is very upset with her because she is sparking interest in the 4th district race among Democrats in that district and sparking an increase in voting.
On the Democratic side.
On the Democratic side, the GOP is very upset with her. She's like, "What are you doing? You're making you're getting the Democrats excited, and you're making more Democrats vote." So this is first term Democratic Representative Marie Perez in Washington State seeking re-election after initially edging out her opponent by 1 percentage point. I believe that this is like one of the more conservative areas in Washington State. So again, I will that's Joe Kent. I remember that name.
He's a total MAGA.
He's a MAGA guy.
Yeah, he's an election denier.
Endorsed by Trump, challenged the results of the 2020 election, raised conspiracy theories about the attack on the Capitol. So that primary is going to be March 12th. And again, we're going to be talking about this over and over again, reminding you guys when the dates are and all of that. So here we go. I don't know if anybody remembers J.R. Majewski. I think he's the one who talked about his daughters.
No, he's also the guy who made his veterans. He faked his veteran status.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So he's running against Marcy Kaptur. She is the longest running female in the U.S. House, by the way.
And she needs to be reelected.
So this primary will take place on March 19th. And this is another example of someone else who spoke against Trump and has been cut off by the Republican Party. So Craig Rydell, a former state lawmaker, since come under fire for negative comments about King Trump. Elise Stepanik, a top House Republican, announces she has withdrawn her endorsement over Craig Rydell. Earlier this week, I informed Craig Rydell, Ohio District 9, that I will be withdrawing my endorsement. I was very disappointed in his inappropriate comments regarding cult leader President Donald Trump. By the way, former President Trump, but whatever.
Right.
As we begin 2024, my focus is ensuring we nominate the strongest candidates on the ballot who are Trump puppets. Let's see. Just curious. Oh, I didn't want to go through all that.
Well, you did.
Who are committed to electing President Trump this November and expanding our House GOP majority.
God help, God help us. If they expand the House GOP majority, I give up on the American people. I do. I'll be done.
Right. There's another, like a small town mayor also seeking the Republican nomination. But, God forbid he might have said something about Trump, so they don't even say his name here.
Right.
But that's pretty much right now, that's pretty much what I have and we have. We're going to be talking about each section of the government. We're probably going to be talking more about state races and House races next week, especially because a lot of these are the ones that are going to be coming up, in terms of the special elections and that kind of thing. It'll be February, March, and April. Also, we'll be talking about different primaries. Again, if you want a more progressive candidate, vote for the progressive candidate in the primary. If you don't, then don't. But whoever falls out, that's who we're going to support, as long as they're not,
Absolutely.
as long as they're not a pillup. If they're a pillup, if they're a pretender, we will find out and we will let you know.
Yeah.
But uh, anyone who, oh, let's go here too. Deb mentioned the No Labels Party. Cornel West. Someone tried to flamethrow me on Twitter. I refuse to call him X, by the way.
I do
On
too.
Twitter, uh, when I called Cornel West a right wing sheepdog.
He is.
Cornel West is a right wing sheepdog. The No Labels Party is a freaking joke. Okay.
Jill Stein is a joke. All of these people, RFK Jr. is a joke. All of these people know they have no chance in hell of winning any election.
Marianne Williamson.
Marianne Williamson is a joke. All of these people who claim to care about America, they don't care about America. This is opportunism, as what this is. Cornel West, Jill Stein, Marianne Williamson, RFK Jr., they are vote stealers. That is what they are, plain and simple. They don't care about this country, because if they did care, they wouldn't be conducting personal vanity projects. That's all these things are. They have no solutions to any of these problems, and they have nobody who will work with them. So let's clear the air right now. They need to get the fuck off the national stage right now.
There's another guy in Minnesota,
Whatever.
running in the primary against Biden. I'm not even gonna. It's Dean something or whatever.
Whatever.
Again, and please show me someone running against Biden. You can't.
Please show me someone who's running against Biden that is showing you what their plans are. Please show me someone who's running against Biden that has a track record. Please show me someone who's running against Biden that has a platform. Please show me that. They don't have anything. They're just out there flapping their jaws, saying that they're better for America. They have no plan. The Green Party's a joke. Jill Stein's a joke. Okay? When I finally met her face to face, I was off the bus.
Right.
I'm sorry. She's got nothing.
And you can criticize people all you want. Joe Biden is a warmonger, blah, blah, blah. Every single president, name me a president that has not had to deal with a war. Any president.
I'm sorry, but Caitlin Johnstone, she's another one whose bus I fucking flattened the tires on a long time ago. Caitlin Johnstone insisting that Joe Biden can just end the war right now between Hamas and Israel. She's got her head so far up her ass, she should stay in Australia. By the way, an American citizen criticizing America from Australia. Okay, does that work out okay for you people? Because she shows me absolutely nothing. I'm sorry.
So a little bit of history in regards to in regards to that, how long have the hostilities been going on? Since before biblical times. Okay, so no one's been able to stop it. You're expecting Biden to stop it? Come
He
on
doesn't
now.
have that
I mean,
power. Israel's a sovereign nation. It's a sovereign nation. There's no stopping Israel. Okay. It's just, I don't know what to tell you. It's an unsatisfactory situation. In no way right now am I happy with what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. Absolutely not. I'm absolutely not. But I'm going to tell you something. And this is speaking strictly as an American citizen. Right now, my biggest problem is right here. And if we fall into fascism, we can't do anything to stop anything again. All right. We will be in no position to do anything. I will tell you this. I will never again be a one issue voter.
right.
This whole war is not going to change my vote. I know who I'm voting for in November of 2024 based on what's going to happen right here if I
Well,
don't.
the one issue is civil rights or human rights. That's
Exactly.
what the basic. And I didn't mention it in the short show, but let's get this out of the way too. Um, criticizing Sanders. Well, he tried to make a deal to get Lockheed Martin in his state. He's a militaristic, he's corporate. What are you supposed to do? You are supposed to create jobs for your constituents in your state. Okay. By the way, that deal was probably, cut out because of certain things that he wanted in terms of, labor rights and that kind of thing. That's
Right.
probably what it was. He's fought against Amazon.
I just,
He's fought for labor, for labor relations. AOC, same thing. By the way, oh well, AOC kept Amazon out of our state. Again, make up your mind. All right.
well, it's not even that. Again, in Massachusetts, people who are mostly in the restaurant business and
Oh yeah.
people who like to sit outside and eat dinner,
Right.
okay, criticizing Mayor Wu because she would not renew the eating outdoors in the north end of Boston. Do we know why that she didn't do that? Okay, because some point the people who work in the state as public servants have to listen to the people who pay taxes there. The people in the North End did not want the restaurants back. They were done with the dirt. They were done with the noise. They were done with the upheaval. The people lived there in those apartments above those restaurants. They lived there. Okay, they pay taxes to live there. They pay rent and they pay utilities to live there. Okay, and they have every right to stand up and say, we don't want that renewed this year. And they didn't get it renewed. And everybody came down on Mayor Wu, but she did what the people of her state wanted. That's her job.
The difference between the Democrats and the Republicans are that, and again, no party is infallible, but the Democrats listen to their constituents to at least some degree. The Republicans do whatever the hell they want and then
And
deny.
by the way, Democratic Party legislators legislate on behalf of all the people. The
Right.
Republican legislators, they don't necessarily. If you're a Democrat and you're in a Democratic state, they could care less about you. And that's a real fact. I've never seen Joe Biden or any other Democrat, when a state was in need of emergency financial aid because of a natural disaster, do anything but respond immediately, whether it's Kentucky or whether it's Massachusetts. Donald Trump, when he gave aid to Puerto Rico after the hurricane, he was an abomination, the shit he said and the stuff he did. Okay? That's not
And,
public service.
and by the way, Joe Biden offered food stamps and assistance to every single state, and I believe 13 or 14 of them declined that funding.
Including Tate Reeves in Mississippi, the poorest
Mississippi.
state in the union. But Tate Reeves, chubby Tate Reeves, he never had a fucking day in his life when he didn't have food in his mouth.
Right.
But plenty of his people in the state, the poorest state in the union, turned down food stamps. Not Kay Ivey. Who's the one in the one that looks like Roseanne Barr that we talked about?
Well,
Iowa.
Kim, is it Kim Davis?
It's Kim something. That's not Kim Davis. Kim Davis is the chick with the LGBT stuff. Kim Reynolds.
Kim Reynolds. Okay.
Yeah, governor of Iowa turned down food stamps. Okay.
So I know Alaska, Iowa, Florida, Texas, Georgia. I think I said Iowa, but there's several
All red states.
Alaska, all denying food for their constituents and
including,
those kids and their
including,
kids.
by the way, free lunches for children during the summer when school's out. They have turned that down. Okay. Where would you rather live? In a state that cares about taking care of its children and its people, or in a state that denies food to people who are in need? It's as simple as that. It really is. We don't need to embellish it with a lot of rhetoric from a lot of news agencies. It's as simple as that. You either are legislating on behalf of the American people, or you're legislating on behalf of the people who prop you up. And there's a difference.
Food, clothing, shelter, water, clean air.
Yep.
Ah.
And that's where we are. We'll see you next week when we shall carry on. Later.